Good evening and welcome to this regularly scheduled meeting of the Sahuarita Unified School District Governing Board. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll move on to the roll call. Ms. Palacios.
Denise Reed.
Here.
Governing Board Clerk, Dr. John Sparks.
Here.
Governing Board Member, Sherry Lowe.
Here.
Governing Board Member, Kevin Opalka.
Here.
Governing Board Member, Nicole Warner.
Here.
District Administration Superintendent, Dr. Manuel Valenzuela.
Present.
Assistant Superintendent, Scott Downs.
Present.
Assistant Superintendent, Brett Bonner.
Here.
Chief Financial Officer, Lisette Huey.
Here.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move on to the regular approvals. Approval of the agenda. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. At this point, I'd recommend approval of the agenda as it was revised.
Okay, we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next item is approval of the minutes from October 26th. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Reese. Members of the board, you have in your packet draft copies of the minutes from the regularly scheduled meeting of the board back on October 26, 2022. And after your review and consideration, I do recommend approval at this time.
Okay, we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Ratification of the vouchers. Ms. Huey.
Good evening. Tonight, I recommend payroll voucher ratification number 9 and new payroll 13 and 14 for total payroll approval of $7,725,622.02. Additionally, I recommend expense vouchers 1033 to 1036 in addition to ratification number 3000. New expense vouchers 1047 through 1056 for a total of expense vouchers of $20,553,099.91 for a grand total of ratification and new vouchers of $28,278,721.93.
We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next item of business, superintendent reports. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Reese. Members of the board, I do have a few items to share this evening. We always begin with our enrollment report. And although you see a very slight 0.17% dip from prior meeting, if you look at the overall trends, and specifically the blue line literally over the orange line, you see that over the longer period of time, the trend continues to be favorable. In fact, the gap from current meeting to prior year actually widened a little bit. Last meeting, I think it was about 89, and now it's, I think, 117. So our enrollment over prior year is about 2%, which bodes favorably to our planning and our projected budgeting purposes. Our NJROTC students, we highlight them a lot. They do a lot of great things. They competed in a comprehensive meet which involves drill, physical fitness, academic, march, and they compete at some of the top meets in the state and region. Recently they competed, I think that's this one, is the John McCain Invitational, which is a big meet up in the Phoenix area, and our cadets came in first place. Secondly, more recently, in the last week or so, they traveled down south to I-19 to Rio Rico High School and competed in the Rio Rico Invitational, where, again, major competition, and the result was the same. Our cadets came in first place. So we're very proud of our NJROTC program and the pace for excellence that they continue to set. Speaking of excellence, our bands continue to shine. Their fall shows have been presented at multiple performances around the state. And as you can see, they're based on the hardware that's being displayed. I think this one is from the one here in Sahuarita at our I-19 showdown. Again, another big regional meet. And Walden Grove High School emerged in first place, followed literally, as I understand it, by fractions of a point, were the Sahuarita High School Mustangs. So they finished 1 and 2. And other than that, I would just like to take a moment to say thank you to all of the many, many women over generations that have served our country in the United States Armed Forces. If we know anything more than ever, as has always been true, is the fact that the blessings of our freedom are certainly not free, and they are bought with a tremendous price and sacrifice among many, many, many people. And to all of them, we say thank you, and we reflect and we honor them always, but certainly at this time as we approach the Veterans Day holiday. And with that, I will close out my report. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Dr. Valenzuela. Moving on to the governing board reports. Ms. Lowell.
I'd just like to say that we had a great time on Halloween with all the kindergartners coming through the district office, and that was just so great to see little first timers and come through from all of our schools and SDPA and Link, and that was adorable. I was grateful to be a part of it. Also, thanks to all the schools and teachers and for keeping up on Facebook, on social media, all the events that are happening and the end of the year competitions. And it's really been great to stay on top of that and witness that and things that we can't get there in person. And again, I'd like to reiterate the Veterans Day. I'm grateful to all those that have served.
Dr. Sparks.
Just grateful everybody could be here tonight to celebrate your children and their accomplishments, and also reiterate the gratitude as we come into Veterans Day, the end of the week, and also as we enter just this general month of, I think, thankfulness and being grateful for the blessings and opportunities we have as people, and grateful to be here this evening. Thank you.
Ms. Werner.
I have no report tonight.
Okay. Mr. Alpaca.
I was able to attend the art night over at Anza Trail last week. It was a really fun event. Lots of incredible little artists out there. It blows my mind what they can create out of with very little, instruction and stuff. So get out there, participate in those events, the community events, get to know what's going on at your schools. I know there's been dances and middle school dances and swim meets and all kinds of stuff. So, continue to support all those kids and enjoy the fall festivities.
Thank you. And as for myself, I would just like to put a shout out to both Walden Grove and Sahuarita High School bands. They are both competing in their state level competitions over the next 2 weekends, so I wish them the best of luck. Moving on to recognition of staff, students, and community, we will move on directly to staff recognition. Dr. Valenzuela.
I assume that staff means the support staff employee of the month, and it is, as always, our honor to recognize the amazing contributions and the vital role that's played by the dedicated members of our support staff team. And so once again, I'd like to ask my colleague, Mr. Downs, to do the honors. Mr. Downs.
Thank you, Dr. Valenzuela. And as always, I always remind the governing board and the public that we have over 450 classified staff, which means support staff from bus drivers, custodians, instructional aides. And to pick one every month is very difficult because we have many employees in our organization who do a tremendous job. But this year, it is my pleasure to read this nomination from Mr. Ramon Andrade, and the facilities leadership team. They have nominated Mr. Sergio Peralta as a Sahuarita Unified School District support staff member for exceptional contributions to the Sahuarita Unified School District number 30. His hard work and attention to detail have resulted in an immensely successful thread of events for all of us here at SUSD. For Mr. Peralta's efforts indicate his true dedication and his commendable approach as an employee. He is ready to assist at any time and in any way possible. Through his actions, he has shown that he is a great team player. We thank him for exemplifying the values of the Sahuarita Unified School District. Again, Mr. Sergio Peralta is the Sahuarita Unified School District Support Staff Member of the Month.
Okay, and moving on to our Government Financial Officers Association Award, Dr. Valenzuela.
I am a teacher after all. I do have a loud voice. I didn't realize my mic wasn't on. But what I was saying is that among the many responsibilities that we are charged with as a public education organization, certainly one of the most significant and one which I personally take with great seriousness and trust is as the public, as the trustees of the public's dollar and the public's trust. And so this evening, it gives me great pleasure and satisfaction to let the board and public know that we have once again been recognized by the Government Finance Officers Association in Chicago based on their evaluation of our practices in financial reporting, our audit reports, our annual financial reports, and their determination that we meet the highest standards of achievement and professional practice in regards to our management of the public's dollars, the public's trust, and our overall finance and budgeting protocol. So I'd like especially to say thank you to my colleague, Mrs. Lizette Huey, our Chief Financial Officer, for, and I say this as literally as I can, her tireless efforts. Tireless is the appropriate descriptor. And her commitment to setting the highest bar in honoring that integrity and that trust that we have and that we owe to our community. So Lizette, congratulations. Betsy, did they send the plaque? Do we have a plaque? So Sherry, sorry to make you wear out the carpet, but if you could come around and maybe we could get a picture. This is really a big honor, and Lizette, we say thank you. Stand up and take a picture, and I think that deserves a round of applause too. You might as well stay up here, Mrs. Lowell. May we proceed, Madam President, to the honoring of our leaders in character?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Truthfully, this is one of our very favorite things. I know it is for me, and I believe I can confidently speak 5-0 for the board that honoring our students is one of the greatest honors and one of the greatest joys that we have. And this award is special because it recognizes something that we believe is a vital part of the educational process, and that's honoring these young men and women, these boys and girls who set the standard of excellence in regards to their daily school example and the role models that they are for their peers, and how they set a high bar of excellence in all they do, including the importance of being good citizens in their school communities. It's called Leader in Character. We recognize 1 or 2, depending on the school, students per month, per school. And we invite them to come down to receive a special certificate, a gift card courtesy of our sponsors at Freeport McMoran, and then to have your picture taken. We've now designated this as the photography space, and we send it to the Green Valley News and the Sahuarita Sun, and of course they publish it and let the whole community know how amazing our students are. So we congratulate you, students. We also congratulate you and honor you, parents, because we know that the example, the values, the modeling that you've done to coach and to guide your children in the way they should walk is a reflection of this example of excellence that they set in the classroom, around campus, and in their community each day. And so with that, let us proceed. I think we have a few students that we're circling back around that weren't able to be here previously. I don't know if they're here this evening, but we have a student from September, 8th grader from Sahuarita Digital Pathways Academy. Congratulations, Gianna Bonillas. Gianna, are you here? Come on down. And we also have a student that wasn't able to be recognized in October. She is from Copperview Elementary School. Congratulations, Anissa Valentino. Anissa. Congratulations to both of you. And now we move on to our leaders in character for November, starting as we always do because we are creatures of habit, with Sopri Elementary School, where our honoree is a kindergartner. Congratulations, and come on down, Luis Villegas. It's now time to honor the leaders in character from Anza Trail School, again, because it's a big, really big school and basically two schools in one. We recognize an elementary and a middle school student. Our elementary student's a third grader. Congratulations, Tyler Roberts. Tyler. And moving on to our middle school leader in character from Anza Trail School, 6th grader David Martinez. Our Sahuarita Primary School distinguished student leader in character is a 1st grader. Congratulations, Adrian Siqueiros. And next door from the primary school is, of course, the intermediate school, where we are honored to recognize this evening 3rd grader Adeline Sherhart. Adeline. And these kindergartners are sure making an impression early on in their academic career. We got another kindergartner to recognize. The leader in character from Copperview School is Landon Bentley. And now we are across the street at Wrightson Ridge, where again we have two students, beginning with our elementary leader in character. Congratulations, Santiago Castañeda. And now Wrightson Ridge leader in character middle school is 6th grader Carlos Villegas Jr. Moving right along to recognize another 6th grader, this time the leader in character from Sahuarita Middle School. Congratulations, Gavin Lee. We are so proud of these students. They are truly amazing. As we move to our high school students, beginning first with Sahuarita High School, congratulations to our leader in character, Dreama Raymond. And from Walden Grove High School, we have another senior. Our leader in character is Christian Pena. Again, we recognize the great example that all of you set in your communities as we round out our Leader in Character celebration this evening by honoring the Leader in Character from Sahuarita Digital Pathways Academy. Congratulations, sophomore Olivia Petrowski. Very good. Let's line them up. Mr. Bonner has this down to a science now. Look at him, like a professional photographer. And Amber's going to take a picture and send it to the folks at the Green Valley News. And I think they publish this on Wednesday, so you can look for yourself next week. Congratulations. We honor your students. Parents, thank you so much. You can come down if you'd like to take your own picture. And after we're done, you're welcome to stay, but we understand homework and other things call. If this is a good time to leave if you need to do so. And again, thank you so much. But you too.
All right. Our next item of business is called the public, but it's my understanding we do not have any this evening, so we'll move on from there. Okay, next item of business, the 2023-24 new course proposals for CTE and dual enrollment. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Reese, members of the board. You know, our mission is real simple, working as a team to help every student succeed. And a part of that mission is exemplified by our efforts to continuously expand and enrich the curriculum and the courses that we offer to our students, including the opportunity to take relevant, rigorous courses that prepare them for the workforce and that provide them with the dual opportunity to earn simultaneous college and high school credit before they complete their high school career. And I'm very pleased and grateful. I appreciate the initiative, the time, effort, and leadership of my colleague, Mr. Bonner, and through those efforts, we've made progress and we'll make more. You'll hear about classes in business, marketing, macroeconomics, communications, business, interpersonal communications, Western civilization, U.S. history. It just warms my heart, and it makes me feel that we're taking intentional strides to live up to that mission. And with that, before I recommend the approval of these courses so that they can be put on the schedule of classes for this year, I'd like to ask Mr. Bonner to make whatever brief comments he'd like to make.
Thank you, Dr. Valenzuela, members of the board, members of the Sahuarita community. As the meeting started today with reference to gratitude and thankfulness, I'm grateful for our district staff, the support, the vision, and the continued push forward with the class offerings for our students at all of our high schools and all courses throughout and classes throughout our school district. This is the time of year historically where we present new courses for the board to consider. In your packets, you had full depth memorandums that outline the courses for your review. The reason we do it now is so based on your final determination to approve or not to approve, if approved, it allows high schools and other schools to then get ready for building schedules that start in January of this year, the calendar year. So we start to create sequences, catalogs, get the course alignments, build those systems so kids can register starting as early as end of January of 2023. So with that, I have two sections I'd like to briefly outline with you this evening. The first one is called the marketing course through Career Technical Education, CTE Marketing. This course, if approved, would be housed at Walden Grove. It can expand over time. Although it's housed at Walden Grove, all SUSD high school students are eligible to attend. So SHS, SDPA, the door is open. High schools coordinate when the class is offered, so it provides students access during that designated class period, like for example, 0 hour or first hour, or 6th hour. We work around class schedules so students have access. The course proposal is part of our CTE wheel. It's funded through our Perkins grant. It's not through our M&O operations grant, which means that it's part of our CTE umbrella. We're not asking for new staffing specific to this position, this course. It would be taught with our current staffing at Walden Grove, and we're hoping that we'll expand beyond just one section depending on interest level and growth. And this class is focused on preparing students to conduct critical business functions regarding the products and services from producer to consumer. It looks at the in-depth practical understanding of economic principles, human resource skills, marketing concepts, distribution, financing, information management, promotion, purchasing, risk management, and sales. This class is designed to provide instruction on market research, economics, market budgets, creative development and design, marketing foundations and functions, with an emphasis on public relations, advertising, branding, promotion, product and service management, pricing, and distribution. In your memo that provided to each board member, this program as a sequence will provide post-secondary certifications for students to apply in different post-secondary programs. And certifications can go into entry-level employment anywhere from marketing managers, advertising, e-commerce marketing director, product development, media coordinator, retail manager, survey researchers. So there's a lot of opportunities for students to pursue beyond their high school experience. If approved, we would set up a 2-year sequence. So for year one, this course would be offered to juniors and seniors. It's marketing and entrepreneurship level 1, and then year 2 would be for seniors, marketing and entrepreneurship level 2. It's important for me to inform the board that if this is approved, it does allow us to embed the 0.5 credit for econ into this year-long course. So students that register for this course, they could knock out their econ credit through the CTE class. We'll still offer econ as a half credit at our high schools. We're not changing that. We still offer it during summer school. But the nice thing about this, it's 2 for 1. We can knock it out in that CTE course sequence. This is a dual enrollment. I'm really grateful, again, that gratitude through Dr. Valenzuela's support, vision, the board support, our hard work of all of our staff. We have not only expanded on our advanced placement course offerings district-wide, we have over 30 AP courses at our high schools, but we're now just as equal with our dual enrollment. And Dr. Valenzuela made a comment today that really stuck to my heart, and he said, I can't wait to see some of our first students walking down graduation with their associate's degree based on their high school experience with the courses we offer. We're not that far away. So this is just adding to another menu option for dual enrollment for our students at both of our high schools and our online STPA school. So we'll develop an IGA pending your approval. The IGA would go with University of Arizona, and it's with the course called PPEL 101, Ethics, Economy, Entrepreneurship. It's a 3-credit U of A class. There is a cost to students if they opt to go through the U of A option of $176.50. That's cheaper or less expensive than some of our other dual enrollment that we've had with U of A, where that cost is around $500. This price was negotiated for all of our Pima County schools with the U of A, so it's consistent with other districts in Pima County. I would recommend, because we do great things with Pima College, students can enroll also with the same equivalency of this course for 3 credits through Pima College for Econ 150, 201, 202, Marketing 101, Marketing 202 at 0 tuition cost. It's free for students. And so again, it will transfer not only for their high school credit, but also for their college credit, which is a win-win. Really, materials, a minimal cost. We do have a budget through our CTE programs and grants. We'll need access to individual laptops, color printers, and digital cameras. And students will receive certification if they complete this 2-year sequence. We use the Rise Up customer service sales, Rise Up certification, retail industry fundamentals, and Rise Up the business of retail. And as consistent charges to students, there is a CTE course fee of $20 per year for the course, and that goes to just basic materials, and that's part of the annual course fee approval process that will come up in December for your consideration as well. So that's the big one for CTE. I'll transition now into dual enrollment. I'll be a little bit more concise because there's a lot more. For dual enrollment, this is for next year, and let me just clarify for the board, there's a wide menu, but with that, I don't want to mislead that all these classes will not be offered next year. Pending your approval, if you give us the go-ahead, it gives us the ability to establish an IGA with Pima Community College so we can start building sequences of these courses that will take place over a course of time. So you'll see them build year to year. It won't all be next year. You'll see a few that are approved for next year based on staffing demands, based on the sequencing that we create, the IGA that we're able to coordinate with Pima staffing. So again, this is all funded through an agreement with Pima Community College. James Palacios, huge shout out to James for all of his hard work that we've done to expand our dual enrollment. And I just don't want the board to say, well, what happened to all these classes when they're not on the students' registration packets? It really gives us the green light to build multiple sequences over years if you give us the go-ahead to move forward. So in summary, here are the CTE dual enrollment proposed courses. We have Marketing 111, Principles of Marketing, offered through Pima Community College dual enrollment, no charge to students. It's free. You get both high school credit and you get college credit. Pretty amazing. This class is a basic introduction to marketing, communication principles, and strategies. The next one's Marketing 200. It's advertising, also 3 credits for college credit, 1 credit for SUSD. It's advertising principles and concepts as applied in a business setting, advertising perspectives, marketing, and strategies. There's Econ 150, an economic perspective. This is a study of interactions of individuals and societies from a viewpoint of economics. It's the philosophy of economics, the history of economics, and the conventional economic theory, questions of equity versus efficiency, contemporary economic issues, microeconomics and macroeconomics. The next course is Econ 201, microeconomic principles. And this is a study of individual markets where supply meets demand, prices and quantities are determined. It examines production possibilities, the curve, market analysis, consumer theory, theory of the firm. The next course is Econ 202, macroeconomic principles. This is the study of economy as a whole, production and possibilities of the curve, market analysis, gross some additional courses that we like to expand on for our dual enrollment offerings. And the next one is based on the Introduction to Communication. So it's Communications 102, offered and hosted through our partnership with Pima Community College. This is an introduction to basic concepts of oral communication, interpersonal and public address situations. It focuses on the foundations of communication, perception of self and others. It looks at interpersonal communication, group communication. Then there's Communication 110, public speaking. Goes into depth about the study and training of public speaking. Looks at the responsibilities of the public speaker and the listener. Managing nervousness, the causes of public speaking anxiety, topic selection, audience analysis, organizing the speech, presenting the speech, and types of public speaking. The next course is Communications 120, which is business and professional communication. This is a study and training in organizational communication focused on multicultural, global environment. It looks at the business environment, interpersonal communication skills, the culturally diverse workforce, researching, organizing, delivering informative, instructional, and persuasive presentations. Then we move into Communications 140, which is interpersonal communication. This is a focus and emphasis on the concept and examples of relevant to our daily lives. The foundation of interpersonal communication, messages, dynamics, and relationships in context. Now we move out of communications and move into the last end of the recommendation for dual enrollment courses, and we now go into history in partnership with our high schools and Pima Community College dual enrollment. The history of the United States, History 141. This is the survey of the major developments in American history from the Columbian voyages to the era of Reconstruction. It's the colonial America, the formative years, which is 1776 to 1815. It talks about the coming of the Civil War and its aftermath. Then we transition to History 142, which is History of the United States, Level 2. This is where we would survey the major developments in American history from era of Reconstruction to the present. It talks about the emergence of modern America, the earliest 20th century, and America as a world power. Then we transition into the last two classes, which is History 101, Introduction to Western Civilization, Level 1. And this is prehistory to the wars of religion, a period extending from 10,000 BCE, which is before the Common Era, to 1648 CE, which is the Common Era, typically the early 1700s. And this is where we look at the prehistoric to the historic period, the Greco-Roman world, early Central and late Middle Ages, and the Renaissance and Reformation. The last class is History 102, Introduction to Western Civilization, Level 2. History of the origins and development of modern Western world. This includes wars of religion, the Enlightenment, the 18th century, the 19th century, and the 20th century. I am proud to be part of this district, and I'm grateful that we can offer so many classes to SUSD students. And with that, I'm open to any questions. I'll pass it back to Dr. Valenzuela.
I would echo Brett's sentiments. It makes me really proud to think of the work we've done, how far we've come, and how far we will continue to go by continuing to work as a team to help every student succeed. And with that, I am pleased and proud to recommend the approval of the new course proposals for CTE and dual enrollment for the year 23-24.
We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Madam President,
Yes.
I'm just grateful, and I want to express that during my time around the district, there's been a consistent effort. I think there were not even one hand maybe worth of classes 8 or 9 years ago, and we now have almost 30. And I appreciate that consistent effort to bring those opportunities into the high school level to allow individuals to not only obtain the education they're seeking or might be more individualized to their needs, but also to advance a career track, save a pretty tremendous amount of money. You can get pretty close to an associate's degree before you leave high school. And because it was done in high school, you're still a freshman when you leave high school, and move into college, having saved multiple years of expense. So I just really am grateful for that. And I realize that not all of them can be done at one time, but I'm just that constant forward movement of expansion of opportunities and options for students. I'm really grateful for. So just wanted to express that.
Perfect. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, just one. I think you mentioned on the CTE, this set of coursework, the second set of coursework that we're looking at adopting and expanding, that there was no price to the students. Is the $20 is applicable?
Correct.
It's not additional enrollment for Pima Community College, right?
So for the CTE marketing class, it will be housed in our district at Walden Grove. There's no course fee specifically to that course if they go through dual enrollment with Pima Community College. Let's see, hold on a second. Make sure I get the right stuff here.
just the $20 CTE fee.
Yeah, the $20 fee is a standard fee that we charge
Across
for
all
CTE
CTE.
classes,
Right.
and it's basic general supplies like for safety goggles or certain devices. It's a standard $20 fee, and we've never raised that in the years that we've been doing this.
Just
But
wanna
if
make sure
they
that
do choose the U of A
there's an additional
dual
one
enrollment,
set.
Right.
that's the additional fee, correct?
Correct. Pima,
Okay.
no charge for dual enrollment. Dual enrollment through University of Arizona. It's a much better price compared to what we've done before. It's $176.50.
And the $20 is just that's an annual fee.
Correct.
CTE participation.
Correct.
So
Okay.
if you have 4 classes, it's not
Just
20,
correct.
20, 20. It's just
Perfect.
20 flat. It's the participation.
Correct.
Basically the pay to play fee for.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to put it. It's like
Okay.
Okay,
Pay to
great.
play.
Just want to make sure that was clear. Thanks.
Okay.
And, it's too bad they didn't have these courses offered when I was in high school.
Yeah.
I would have loved to
Right.
work on the communications ones and principles of marketing and
Right.
all of those things. I'm like, man, where was this?
Public speaking.
Great opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to soon see some of our, as you were alluding, Dr. Sparks, that when students graduate, we'll have students that are either at the sophomore level, at the university, college level, or really close to becoming a junior going through our dual enrollment program. So it's really a jump forward. It gives more choice for students to make about different pathways or career interests, academic interests. It's just a great menu to have. So I'm really excited about what's going our direction.
So then my last question is that on the dual enrollment classes that you went over, especially with the microeconomics, the macroeconomics, so the econ classes, will those also fulfill the requirement for students for their econ, or is that only through the marketing side?
Specifically to the marketing class.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
And we'll still offer at all of our high schools and our online STPA econ, the regular half semester econ. And we typically offer econ during our students' senior year where they do government one semester, econ the second semester.
Okay.
But in this class, if you take CTE marketing, it's a year-long class and it meets the credit criteria pending board approval of the 0.5 credit for econ.
Brad, are the micro and the macro classes, are they semester-long classes respectively, or are each of them a full-year class?
These classes of all the different marketing, principal advertising, from my understanding, they're year-long classes.
Very well.
But what about the econ 150, 201, 202 for the dual enrollment side?
From my understanding, they are
Year long, correct?
year-long credits. From my
Okay.
understanding, but if I need to verify that, I can do that. But from my understanding, it's year-long.
Okay.
Also, as Aaron, think about the concept of completing courses and then transferring those courses to one of the major 3 universities, particularly in Arizona. Do we track how these correlate into the AJAC program? So the Arizona Generally Accepted Curriculum Track,
Correct.
A,
They
B,
are.
and S.
And that's part of the IGA process. So what will happen pending the approval of the board, we work closely with Pima College and their team, led by James Palacios, who's really has opened the doors and has made the alignment from high school CTE to dual enrollment course offerings to transfer so much more mainstreamed. And there's been a little bit more relaxed, more efficient rigor and academic standards are very high still, but there's an easier transition for certification for teachers to teach these courses. And a lot of times it's either Pima teachers or teachers that meet the certification requirements to teach a college level course at the high school level. So there's still very high standards, but the doors have opened more, and that's why we're seeing effective leadership, great collaboration between our high schools and PIMA. And to answer your question, that's the dual enrollment pipeline that we're targeting, which is the AJAC. And these courses will align to that, and it's part of our IGA.
And I assume, because I'd seen it in a prior presentation, but I just wanted to make sure that that was still kind of the goal. Only because that AJAC designation allows that transfer of that credit directly over to the university level without any issue. They have to accept it under statute.
General studies. In fact, it's a great resource online. If you look under our CTE website, we have a pathway for parents that can look at all these dual enrollment courses that we've offered and how it fits in for your high school credits and then how it can transfer into your college experience. So Josh Fields, I need to give him a lot of credit and acknowledgement. He's our CTE director. He's done a great job not only working on these courses to bridge between high school to post-secondary, whether it's University of Arizona or Pima College, but also to create that pathway on a one-page document that says, parents, students, if you're taking this is how it transfers and how it fits into your college level academic plan.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right. The next item of business is the 2024-25 proposed school calendar. Dr. V.
Thank you, President Reese, members of the board. Just to refresh all of our memories, several years ago, the board asked us to basically stay 2 years ahead in terms of the formulation and development of calendars, understanding that when you plan that far ahead, there's always the possibility that something could need to be changed, but for general planning purposes, this made sense. You remember the last meeting, Mr. Bonner presented the proposed 24-25 school calendar, kind of summarized the highlights. It's basically follows a lot of the same principles that guide our calendar formulation. So before I recommend your approval of this calendar, I asked Mr. Bonner to provide a little bit of a summary of what's transpired since that last meeting and kind of a summary of the process. So Brett.
Thank you, Dr. Valenzuela, members of the board and members of our Sahuarita community. We're honoring the process. So this calendar was presented during the first meeting in October. I believe it was October 5th. And as committed, we posted this calendar. We set up a link for parents, community members, staff members, students to give any type of feedback. We also pushed this calendar along with the feedback link to all of our schools. We used our social media platforms to promote that we're seeking feedback. We shared it with staff and SCAF through our advisory forums, and it's also posted on our district website along with our Facebook page as well. So it's all been really canvassed and marketed. Based on that, we had 547 views over this last month. Looking at the calendar, there was actually 619, but some of those were repetitive from that same login. So true actual views of the calendar, we tracked 547 views. There were 31 responses on the Likert scale, with that scale range of 5 being strongly in favor of the proposed calendar to 1 being strongly opposed. And of those 31 responses, 11 strongly favored it, 5 gave a 4, 9 gave a 3, 4 gave a 2, and 2 gave a 1 out of the 31. There were 18 comments left, and out of those 18 comments, the general themes of what we've heard before, and I just want to share some of the summaries of comments that were shared in the feedback. Some of the feedback themes were to consider year-round calendar, like a neighboring district like Vail Unified School District does a modified year-round calendar. We get that feedback frequently throughout the course of the years. Another item of feedback was to offer full week at Thanksgiving. It would be helpful in the case of family or student travel. Another item of feedback was to have conferences held before fall and spring breaks, or to do it at the week of October and March. Another comment that came in was to add more holiday time during like the week of Thanksgiving, and it's okay, as the word says here, and I'm quoting it here, it's also okay to end our school year closer to June or even in June than trying to get out before the Memorial Day holiday. So that was just some feedback if we were to extend that Thanksgiving holiday. Another comment came in about move parent conferences to September, which would be a little different aspect of things. Another comment, pretty simple, is good. So they liked it. This was different. Spring break should be attached the week of St. Patrick's Day. I think sometimes, in most cases, it is, but it's usually, March 17th. But again, what we typically do is we follow the classic start date. We go 9 weeks, we end the quarter, then we go on a break typically, come back, do 9 weeks, and then that first semester meets the 90-day requirement with balance. Then we start up after winter break. We start the third quarter, and we go into March, which is spring break, come back, we end with fourth quarter, and we end with 90 days. So historically, based on the board's recommendation, we follow a pattern that is equal of the required 180 days. And that's the pattern we've been following for several years. And the last thing was to move fall break to the middle of the month in October, and spring break should move around towards the middle of the month of March. And one comment that I do value, I like this one. It said, just wanted to double check that this should be the 2023-2024 calendar. And no, this is really the 2024-2025, because the board's direction was to really work at having 2 calendars approved. So this is indeed the 24-25 calendar. The 23-24 has already been board approved. It's posted on our website, and pending the approval of this calendar will also be posted on the website for public access. And again, at any given time, the board can make revisions or updates as needed. With that, I'll pass it back to Dr. Valenzuela.
As I listen to those comments, I am grateful for the process to give people a chance to give feedback. I think there's several substantive points. The thing with calendars is that there's no such thing as a perfect one. And I would liken it to, I remember trying to solve the Rubik's Cube. You fix one thing and then the other face is now discolored and not, and so it's not perfect, but I think it's reasonable, prudent, balanced. If there's any of those themes that continue to emerge, we have other avenues to calculate more detail and the magnitude of that support through for example, our organizational health inventory, which we're bringing back in February, or at least sometime this spring, depending on when Amber deems it best. But overall, I think actually this is one of our most balanced calendars we've had in several years. If you look at the quarters and the semesters, they're actually nicely balanced, 90 days and 90 days and 44, 45 each quarter. So I thank Brett for his efforts, and I do recommend approval of the 24-25 school calendar as it is presented.
We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Madam President.
Yes.
I just want to confirm, we've included the question about having an altered schedule pretty regularly in our sentiment survey over the last chunk of years. If that's my understanding, is that correct?
We have not included that question in the last 2 to 3 years. Part of it was because of the disruption with COVID and bringing the survey back. The last time we did it, Amber checked me on this, I want to say 3 to 5 years, maybe 5. That question was in the survey 5 years ago, and the community response was to keep to the feedback was to keep to the traditional calendar that we've had in place historically.
Okay. I guess that feels like last year to me because of COVID. But recently, because I think it's important that we've asked that question, and it's always been kind of slightly favoring staying at this calendar. Have we ever asked about the Thanksgiving one? And the only reason I ask that is because when I look around the community and look at what kind of most organizations give employees and staff that have those days as vacation days, they don't usually get a whole week. That's my understanding, is most places give kind of that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Is that, so maybe we could ask that and maybe re-ask the other one, but I don't like it when they call Vail year round because it's really not. It's just,
it's more modified.
It's a modified schedule.
It's taking a 10-week summer to an 8-week summer and plugging in an extra week between fall break and spring break.
And I think not only do people look at Vails, they also kind of look Continentals as kind of similar too. They have that kind of every 4 weeks they get a 4-day weekend thing they got going. Some people really like that, and it kind of extends their vacations a little bit too.
Part of the strategic planning too, based on the feedback from the community and the board, has been to target the ending date of school prior to Memorial Day.
Yeah.
And then that supports historically the smooth transition of summer school programs starting during the month of June. So we offer an extensive high school program and extensive K through 8 program only during the month of June. Now, if the board chooses otherwise, we could always expand and modify, but it would then impact either going later or modifying the required 180 days. I mean, my formula is the 180.
I know kind of
Yeah.
from my perspective, keeping that July kind of separate, I think is universally kind of people really like that. That there's just nothing going on in July. It's kind of shut down. I mean, you have some sports stuff and band camp and things, but school itself, summer school, kind of from an educational process, it's kind of shut down for a month at least. I mean, I've heard that historically. People kind of like that.
Like the band camp, percussion camps, football starts
Okay.
pretty around about July 15th. So it just, I think the 2024, 2025, as is good, maybe in a community feedback to inquire about a longer Thanksgiving break. It would take it to May, the end of May, and then there would be no break between, May and June. In summer school, are people willing to do, is that what the community wants? The U of A only gives 2 days for vacation. And that's,
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, that's the
Yeah.
majority is just 2 days for Thanksgiving.
And I'm sure there is an exception, as there always is.
There's always an
But
exception.
I can speak with certainty about the public school districts in Pima County, and I would even extend statewide, that the overwhelming supermajority have just the 2 day. It is standard, and I'm not aware of any districts that do otherwise.
In my experience with feedback is people would rather, at least from my understanding, is that getting out in May is more important than a long weekend and Thanksgiving, but I could be wrong. It might be something to inquire about.
We're
and whatever
always willing to
feedback's-
ask if there's some pertinent questions that the community feels
Just to
are worth
inquire.
are worth asking. But like Brett kind of said, at the end of the day, we've got to capture 180 days, and it's just a matter of what
Yeah.
we feel is the most effective way to package that so that it doesn't encroach into our July, or that it's
Right.
not moving our calendar into June and that thing.
And maybe the 26 calendar, to inquire for then. COVID's changed a lot of things. COVID's changed, having our schools, what we've gone through the last couple of years, it's changed a lot of perceptions, and it might be a good pulse point to check.
The other thing that I would want to just double check with families who are advocating for a week long at Thanksgiving is it would most likely push our secondary school finals till after the holiday break.
Correct.
And I don't know, I know that for at least my own family, that would cause a tremendous amount of stress
Agreed.
and trepidation. And so if we did look at offering that, I used to teach at Continental. I taught there the last year before they went to the week long at Thanksgiving, and they had always just done, teachers didn't have a fall break per se because we were doing conferences on that Thursday and Friday, but we didn't have kids. The kids were off, and so we just scheduled. So it's neither here nor there, but if we do want to look at putting a week long at the Thanksgiving week, then I would just indicate there's a couple of caveats where we would have to give and take on that. And the final schedule for our secondary students would obviously be pushed off into that, the January timeframe, as opposed to most likely December because of the way it would shorten it. But the one comment that I was most interested in was specifically looking at putting the parent-teacher conferences into September at some point. I would really, really, really like to get feedback from staff on that as to whether or not that's feasible. I think it creates a situation of where, especially with some of our elementary students, it gives them the opportunity to affect their grades for that quarter. And for a lot of the middle school, particularly middle school, but to a lesser extent high school, it also gives them an opportunity for kind of a wake-up call prior to that fall break and being able to position themselves to be entering that second quarter really strong. And so that is an option that I would like to look at. And from a completely selfish standpoint, I hate the week after fall break because we've just gotten back and then we're dealing with those 2 squirrely half days. And so, but I'm almost out of the elementary world. So I've only got 1 left after this year. So,
And Madam President, you cited exactly what this community member, staff member, again, it's anonymous. I don't know who wrote this, but the feedback was that if we did the September conferences, as you suggested, this way students would have the ability to correct progress before the end of the quarter. I mean, so there's some good valid points in here. I know that I'm really proud of our middle school and high schools who historically we didn't have an established final exam week. And since we've done that for the last several years, it's really kept the focus on academics. We've seen a decrease with behavior issues and just and minimizing disruptive behavior, because there's a clear focus that this is a time to finish strong, work on your final exams. There's a great impact. And so it really kept the tone and the focus on the need to finish your courses and do the best you can on final exams. So I'm really proud of our district with our middle school and high schools establishing final weeks at each semester end.
I would tell you, President Reese, that again, to the Rubik's Cube example, in my own mind, I was recently reading an article about just how hot things are, and how things are getting hotter, and nationwide, how schools are adapting with management of climate, management of cost, management of mechanical systems. And I thought about what I remember as the old way, the old calendar. Some of us remember that, where, you started school after Labor Day. And to your point, it might have some benefit in terms of what probably July and August are factually the hottest months of the year, that it might have that a little bit of an advantage. But then, like you said, then it creates that situation where students would not finish the semester until January, which has both a kind of a planning kind of impact. It also might have, I don't know, an academic performance correlation. If you got these kids and they're about ready for peak performance on their final exams, and then they get 2 weeks off, and then they kind of got to hit the reset button. So a lot of things to consider, but we're willing to ask questions. What I heard is that the board would like us to look at putting on the OHI survey feedback about the conferences and about the week-long Thanksgiving idea, understanding that all of these decisions are not without other consequences. Is that fair?
Yes,
Okay, very
at
well.
least from my standpoint.
Yes.
Mine too. And I'm grateful.
Yeah.
It's doing what we've asked it to do. We're giving
Yeah.
people a solid future vision of where things are going to be. And because that was a pretty regular conversation before we moved to this two kind of people were always, can you tell us ahead of time? And
Yeah.
that's what we're doing. It's trying to allow people to plan.
Yeah,
From
absolutely.
my childhood, the fall break that we had in October was only 2 days.
Yeah.
Traditionally it was only 2 days, and we usually had, I think, the Wednesday off on the Thanksgiving week. So, if you go to a full week at Thanksgiving, maybe the fall break gets trimmed back and you swap the 2 for 5, and look at that. So just some stuff when we put it out there, we need to, if we go this route, there are some other things to think about.
Well, and then the other thing too is that if people are really looking to just try to have a travel day before the actual holiday in that time frame, then maybe we do just add
one
an
day.
additional day and figure out someplace else to trim it or something like that too. We can provide a couple of options and see what kind of response we get. The thing that we need to absolutely ask the community to do though is that when you do get those surveys, is please let us know, because we need to be able to take in your feedback and, be able to look at that. So,
Agreed. The feedback is valued, for sure.
yeah. Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Moving on to the public online auction items, Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Reese, members of the board. And once again, we are looking to clear out items that have exhausted their useful life, and we're seeking to capture residual value as allowed through the public auction process. And at this point, I would recommend your approval of the list that is presented in your packet.
All right, we have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Next agenda item is the School Facilities Board Resolution. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Reese, members of the board. I recently received a resolution from Assistant Superintendent Downs in his liaison role with the School Facilities Board. Now I guess they're called something else, SFOB. What's the O stand for? Oversight. There you go. I've always wondered what that was for. But it was a resolution, and you have it before you, and I'll summarize it for you in layman's terms. But I remember when my grandmother used to say, a dollar just doesn't buy what it used to. Now I would tell you that $18 million won't even buy what it used to, even a few years ago. And we are certainly grateful for the SFOB and for the $18 million that have been designated for us to make expansions in the instructional space at both Walden Grove and Sahuarita High Schools. And we're always looking to maximize the return on those investments. One of the ways we've done that is through the resourceful search for local funds that we can utilize. And we're grateful for the effective management of our career and technical education funds, because the projects will enhance the CTE program offerings. And so we are implementing almost $1 million, about $900,000 plus, $970,000 plus, which is going to be thrown into this project to enhance its value and its quality. So basically what this resolution means, and what I will ask you to do this evening, is to adopt and approve this resolution. And if you read it, it basically says that the extra almost $1 million that we are putting in, that is supplemental. That does not jeopardize our access to the original 18 million. It is in addition to the original 18. So it basically makes this a project of slightly over $19 million. Scott, anything you'd like to add to my summary of that resolution? Is that accurate? So with that, I would recommend approval of the SFOB resolution as it is presented.
We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. The next item of business is policy advisory 737 and 738. Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Reese, members of the board. As you recall, the last couple of meetings, we've been addressing a very lengthy list of policy advisories from the policy services folks at Arizona School Boards Association, largely related to the 55th legislative session. So if these two advisories and the referent policies look familiar, it's because they are. These are additional modifications that have come up since you last went through the approval process, which was literally a month ago. There are no major changes in what you've approved. I will summarize the policies that you have in front of you. The one about immunization of students, basically the last one addressed the fact that by the law that was passed in the last session, students can't be mandated to get the COVID-19 shot, and that shots can only be put on the menu, I call it, the one that is under, I think, Title 36, that allows for mandatory school immunizations under state law. So what happened is it came to light that that list, just from a policy standpoint, it needed some additional revising, some additional changes, number of doses, certain immunizations. So it's been updated to reflect the current accurate information. And so that's why it's presented again for your consideration. The second one about public records again refers to a law that was passed in the last session, which says that it has to do with the response to requests for public records. And one, it says that a district has to have a point of contact for such requests. We have that. Mrs. Woods is our point of contact, as she has been even before this law was passed. And the second thing that the law requires and that is implemented under this advisory is the requirement under law that a receipt of the request is acknowledged within 5 days. Not that the request is fulfilled. That hasn't changed. But that a receipt is acknowledged, which again is a practice that through how a lot of these are received, people do receive acknowledgement of their request. So practically speaking, it really is affirming of what we've been doing. So although these are kind of repeat presentations because we strive to be true to our practice, and I believe it's sound practice, at this point I would recommend your tabling of these policy advisories for foreseeable return for action consideration at the next governing board meeting. So I do recommend tabling at this time.
We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded to table these items. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right. Moving on to the consent agenda, Dr. Valenzuela.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, President Reese and members of the board. You have in your packet a list of routine consent matters that may be approved, considered and approved in one comprehensive motion. And at this time, I do recommend approval of the consent agenda in its entirety.
We have a recommendation. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. We have the possible future agenda considerations. Does anyone have any possible future agenda items they would like to see on a future agenda? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. We'll establish the next board meeting at December 7th here at the Sahuarita District Auditorium. And then there is no executive session this evening, so we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you. Absolutely. Happy Thanksgiving.